Hi, this is Bo asking you, what is your legacy going to be? Our verse for today comes from Isaiah 59, verse 21. As for me, this is my covenant with them, says the Lord. My spirit who is on you will not depart from you, and my words that I have put in your mouth will always be on your lips, on the lips of your children, and on the lips of your descendants, from this time on and forever. There is an amazing story of two families that span several generations. Both trace their lineage back to two men who lived in colonial America. One called himself Jukes, Max Jukes, but his name isn't so important. He was constantly developing a new alias to stay ahead of the law. Jukes was, according to his neighbors, a shiftless, lazy, no account. His marginal skills mostly gained the little that he managed to scrape together as a petty thief. But Mr. Jukes was never clever enough to outwit the local sheriff. He was constantly in and out of jail. His wife was a woman of low morals who spent too much time in a drunken stupor and gossiping about others. At the turn of the 20th century, a series of sociologists managed to uncover 1,200 descendants in the Jukes family tree. Some 300 were professional beggars, more than 100 were convicted criminals, 60 were thieves and pickpockets, at least 400 of them were drunkards or drug addicts, another 7 were convicted murderers, although several more were suspects. More than 50 of them spent time in mental institutions. Of the 1,200 descendants discovered by the educators, only 20 ever learned a trade. The half who did learn a trade learned it in prison. Less than 200 of Jukes' descendants finished high school and none attended college. The Jukes family record was one of poverty and prison, imbecility and insanity, prostitution and panhandling, drunkenness and drug abuse. At the time of the study, the Jukes descendants had cost the state of New York over $8 million, and that was at the turn of the century in the 1900s. One sociologist also studied the family tree of a colonial contemporary of Max Jukes. He was a preacher, as were his father and grandfather. Scholars say that he was the greatest theologian and philosopher ever produced by America. His dynamic preaching sparked a great spiritual awakening that helped spark the American Revolution. Maybe you remember this president of Princeton, the Reverend Jonathan Edwards, and his famous sermon, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. But you may not have ever shaken his family tree to see what fell out. He prayed that verse we had for today before he died and said, Lord, I'm claiming this promise for my family. And a total of 400 descendants have been traced to Jonathan Edwards and his wife, Sarah. Sarah, among them were a U.S. vice president, 3 U.S. senators, 3 governors, 3 mayors, 13 college and university presidents, and 30 judges. Around 65 of Edwards' progeny were college professors. Another 100 were ministers, missionaries, or seminary professors. 80 were public office holders. In his family tree were 100 lawyers and 60 medical doctors. Several descendants had written books, published newspapers, or been editors of journals. Until the beginning of the 20th century, every major industry in America had as its founder or promoter an offspring of Jonathan and Sarah Edwards. You know, most families are a mixed bag of success and failure. Few are as dismal as Jukes' descendants or as stellar as Edwards' progeny. But the contrast cannot be missed, nor the lesson dismissed. Parents have a profound impact for generations to come on their children, grandchildren, and descendants. Nothing is more important than the responsibilities and possibilities of parenthood. The story of two families shouts a message. Your children will become who you are, so be who you want them to be. This is Bo, hoping that you are rejoicing on the victory side.